Harsh words? Maybe, but after watching Boasberg try to sabotage a constitutionally lawful deportation effort, many Americans agree with Trump's assessment. Trump argued that these gang members were engaged in irregular warfare against the United States, an invasion not with tanks, but with terror, drugs, and violence. That's leadership. That's what happens when you have a president who's not afraid to protect the American people. So why use a law from 1798? Because it works. Welcome to Bonie's View. This is Chisom's Insight Episode 2. I'm your host, Chisom, and this is no spins, no fluffs, just the facts. Or, as a friend likes to say, this is straight knowledge served hot. This episode is a direct follow-up to Episode 1, so if you haven't seen that yet, be sure to check it out right after this one. In that episode, we broke down how Judge James Boasberg, an Obama-appointed activist judge, stepped way out of line, blocking President Trump's legal efforts to deport violent gang members from groups like MS-13 and Venezuela's Tren de Aragua. His ruling tied the administration's hands, undermined the executive branch, and gave gang members more time to roam free in America. Well, yesterday the Supreme Court came through, and it's a game changer. On Monday evening, the Supreme Court handed President Trump a significant victory. In a tight 5-4 ruling, the court determined that Trump can invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport illegal immigrants, specifically, suspected gang members who pose a threat to national security. Let that sink in. This historic wartime law, which dates back to the founding era, was just reaffirmed by the highest court in the land to be valid under modern conditions. That's a green light for the Trump administration to continue its mission to make America safe again. And yes, we mean that literally. Trump took to Truth Social with fire, writing, "The Supreme Court has upheld the rule of law in our nation by allowing a president, whoever that may be, to be able to secure our borders and protect our families and our country itself. A great day for justice in America." That's leadership. That's what happens when you have a president who's not afraid to protect the American people. Let's rewind for a second. After President Trump labeled the Tren de Aragua gang as terrorists, his administration began an aggressive sweep across the country. Suspected gangsters were arrested, detained, and prepped for deportation. Some being sent back to face the justice they avoided in El Salvador's infamous prison after their countries refused to take them back. But just as the operation gained momentum, on March 15th, Judge Boasberg issued an injunction effectively blocking the deportations. He even attempted to order a plane carrying deportees en route to El Salvador to make a U-turn. That decision put a halt to the effort to protect our communities and let dangerous individuals stay on American soil. Attorney General Pam Bonie didn't hold back, calling the Supreme Court's ruling a landmark victory for the rule of law and slamming Boasberg for exceeding his powers. And she's right. The Constitution clearly grants national security authority to the executive, not activist judges in robes looking to play politics from the bench. So why use a law from 1798? Because it works. The Alien Enemies Act gives the president power to deport individuals whose allegiance lies with a foreign adversary, especially during wartime or when facing internal destabilization. Trump argued that these gang members were engaged in irregular warfare against the United States, an invasion not with tanks, but with terror, drugs, and violence. Boasberg, however, disagreed, claiming terms like invasion or predatory incursion only apply to traditional wars between countries. But that's where the Supreme Court stepped in and corrected the record. The court didn't directly rule on the validity of Trump's interpretation of the law. That will come in future legal battles. But they did lift Boasberg's injunction and declared that the proper venue for these challenges is Texas, not D.C. Translation? Trump's deportations can resume, and faster than before. Of course, not everyone was thrilled. In her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor went full resistance mode, claiming the ruling was suspect and accusing the court of granting extraordinary relief to the government. She warned of potential grave harm to migrants being deported. But here's the thing. National security isn't a popularity contest. It's about protecting the American people. Period. And Trump isn't backing down. He's even called for Boasberg's impeachment, labeling him a radical left lunatic and troublemaker on social media. Harsh words? Maybe. But after watching Boasberg try to sabotage a constitutionally lawful deportation effort, many Americans agree with Trump's assessment. While the ruling was in Trump's favor, the Supreme Court added some procedural guardrails. Migrants must be notified that they are being deported under the Alien Enemies Act. They must be given a reasonable amount of time to file for habeas corpus in the proper venue. That's due process, but it doesn't stop deportations. It simply ensures they're done by the book, and now the book is on Trump's side. Naturally, liberal activists have jumped in, claiming wrongful deportation of innocent people. One attorney representing a deportee argued that a soccer coach was misidentified as a gang member because of a tattoo of a crown, a symbol meant to honor Real Madrid, not Tren de Aragua. Whether that's true or not, the system allows for those claims to be challenged. But what the Trump administration has emphasized is this: you don't wait until the violence happens to act. You remove threats before they strike. That's the whole point of strong immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, Boasberg is now considering whether to bring contempt charges against Trump officials for sending planes of deportees out of U.S. airspace before his injunction was formally filed. That hearing was set for Tuesday. But with the Supreme Court now having the final say, Boasberg's window of influence is rapidly closing. Following the U.S. Supreme Court ruling on Monday evening that allows the administration to resume carrying out deportation using the Alien Enemies Act, Judge James Boasberg has now canceled this afternoon's hearing on the issue. However, Boasberg's order canceling Tuesday's hearing did not address where the contempt issue stands. This is Chisom's Insight, and today's episode is a reminder of why strong leadership matters. President Trump just scored a massive win, not just for his administration, but for every American who wants safe streets, secure borders, and a government that puts our country first. So what's next? We stay informed, we speak up, and we stand behind efforts that protect the integrity of the United States, because it's not just about politics. It's about our future. If you found this breakdown valuable, show your support, like, comment, and share this episode. Let the facts speak louder than the spin. And don't forget to subscribe to Bonie's View for more real talk, sharp analysis, and unfiltered truth. Until next time, I'm Chisom. Stay sharp, stay focused, and always keep your insight clear. Goodbye.